thrilled to be hosting Alvin Presley on the latest episode of On VJ's playlist, a very, very talented singer-songwriter from Chennai. And yes, it's always a special feeling to be hosting somebody a little closer to home. So Alvin, welcome to On VJ's playlist. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you for having me, OVJ. I've heard a lot about you through social media, and I'm happy that I'm able to finally interact with you. So this is good.
Well, of course, we are here to discuss and dissect your latest EP, Pain Geography. I believe it's your second EP, and the songs, the musicality, the entire sonic treatment and the way the songs have been written. It's a lot more personal, and it's, I believe, something where you have completely kind of reveal yourself naked to your listeners. They're very, very intrinsic in nature. So how does it feel where everybody from your listeners to people who are genuinely followers of Indian independent music, everyone has been raving about Pain Geography? How does it feel? How has the reception been so far?
Honestly, the reception has been great. Like, people have been liking it, and whoever is listening to it, they are happy. They are texting me and letting me know that they are actually able to relate to some things, and there are songs that they are actually looping. But deep down inside, I am so scared. Like,
Why?
it is a very, because see, it's a very uh I I I call myself an introvert, but when I put myself out there, when I decided that, hey, you know what, I am going to put myself out there, and I started releasing music. Initially it was like, Arey, you're a musician now, you're a full-time musician doing whatever, put the songs out. But the more you understand the process and the more you go into it, you reach a point where you're like, oh my God, you pause and then you look back and you're like, there are so many things that I have told people, and now I've reached a point where these untouched parts have to come out now. And those is where those things, Pain Geography came out of that place. And
Yeah.
when I hear people listening to it and talking about it, and I'm like, yes, whew, yes, whew, it's very,
So you, so
it's
you,
a,
uh, so you mean that now that these songs are out, and now that there are certain emotions and certain thoughts that you have expressed through the EP
Mhm.
that makes you kind of like, okay, did I reveal too much? Is it the fear? Is
Yes,
it the fear
yes,
of
exactly.
oversharing that's kind of now hitting you?
It is not oversharing, is just the sharing part itself. You know what I mean? Like, when you're
Oh, oh,
the sharing part itself is so these stories are super close to me, because
yeah,
all my songs have or situations that have impacted me is when song came out of me, and
yeah.
I was being a medium for the songs to come through and then go out to the world. And when they got filtered through me is when my emotions also came along. And when I think of songs in that way, it's it is a very it's a very constricting, but yet it is such a uh happy and feels good to open up to world. So yeah, oversharing maybe eventually, but right now it is just sharing.
Just the idea of sharing it.
Yes.
Well, I have to say though, thank you for sharing it, and thank you for trusting that no, you will find people, who will sort of relate to your experiences. And I don't think so. Um, I don't think it hasn't been a very rewarding and gratifying experience, to say the least. But what I can definitely say is, I'll speak for myself because I have been following the Indian independent music scene now for more than 7 years. I can definitely say that when I compile my list of favorite EPs later, by the end of 2023, I'm sure Pain Geography is going to be definitely featured in there, because it's
Thank you
it's
so
such
much.
a wholesome it's such a wholesome compilation. But I believe you have learned 20 instruments. Like, firstly, how did you find the time and the leeway to ever learn 20 instruments? And
um,
how, like, just how did that happen?
I mean, when I was a
Because
kid, uh,
that clearly explains that music has been your trusted companion now all the while.
Yeah, it has been because when I was a kid, my dad gifted me my first harmonium, and
Okay.
then and oh, let's go even before that. When I was 3, I went for one of my dad's a musician as well. Like he as in
Okay.
he works, but he plays songs, he sings ghazals and stuff. So there was his office band group. So there was this one time where I went and when I was 3 and randomly started playing, which song? Ek, do, teen, char, panch, chhe, saat, aat, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And everybody was like, what is this kid
Hey,
doing?
wait.
3-year-old. Hey, wait,
Did
what
we
is
just
happening?
did we just find a prodigy?
And then my dad was like, you know what? I'm going to gift you something nice. My mom forced me into Hindustani classical. I ended up learning
Oh,
Hindustani classical, and then that is when I got my first harmonium. But me being a kid who looks at electronic things, who likes tape recorders and CDs and computers, harmonium, मेरे को तो keyboard चाहिए.
first of
you
all,
know,
I am trying to, I mean, considering your background, considering, you have a very anglicized surname and, clearly you all are, a Christian loving family. I'm kind of wondering where does the harmonium and Hindustani classical music fit into the scheme of things? How did that,
um, so
yeah.
I lived all my life in Nagpur,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've lived all my life in Nagpur. Later on, 2011 is when I shifted to Chennai. But
Okay.
before that, I lived in a very culturally diverse place. Okay, so and at some point, for me and even for my family, I guess, uh, culture has impacted us so much. Not
Yeah.
just religiously, like we are religious people, but at the same time, the culture has affected us so much
Yeah.
that uh, the lines have blurred down. And
Hmm.
when it came to things like music, and my mom dances and my dad sings and plays, so when I already was growing up in an artistic family, they were like,
Yeah.
why to limit? My dad used to play tabla, that was his first instrument, and he was like, why to limit yourself to certain things? and
Hmm.
and then yeah, that's how harmonium and everything came. Like Hindustani classical, you need a harmonium at the end of the day.
Yes. Yes.
And
For sure.
um, yeah, I started doing the classes and then the keyboard. And every birthday, my dad would give me one instrument. And that entire year, I would be playing that instrument. And I'm like, yes, yes, more, more, more. 8 point, your dad was like, it's okay, enough. You practice this properly first. And then my dad's colleagues who were
So,
always there
and it
around.
had to take the 20th instrument then for dad to say
It
so.
was, I think, the seventh or eighth. He's like, "Ruk jao." But my dad's colleagues, there were some people who gifted me some percussion instruments, and then that's when I learned more about percussions and then drums. And that was like, tabla was there. I started playing tabla, and yeah, that's how, like, one by one I just ended up learning. And even I think in class 5, I ended up playing. I was very curious. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
Papa, I want to play the guitar. And my dad plays the guitar, so he's like, okay, I can teach you. And then he
Okay.
tried to teach me the chords, but then it never happened, like properly never happened.
Okay.
I went on stage. It was for my school annual function. I went on stage, the entire students are singing and everything, and I'm sitting with the guitar. And my friends, वहां से नीचे से, they're looking at me, they're like, nothing, it's not audible. And I'm like, oh, not audible, because I had forgotten everything on stage. And I was just moving my hand like how they show in the films. And those things happen. And that's when I realized, oh my God, there's so many things that I want to learn. I went back home and I picked up the guitar and I learned it better and slowly. And I got more curious. And that's when my dad also started to notice that, hey, okay, come, ek ek karke. And yeah, those things happen, man. Yeah, that's how I picked up the instruments.
One of
And
my
most of it.
personal favorite songs in the EP, which is Love Will Come to You. I
Yeah.
think, you made that song, because maybe you were trying to speak to me and kind of assure me, because I, as a single person right now who's still struggling to find some sort of
Mm, mm.
companionship in a life, I think that song is like literally like tailor made for me. So firstly, thank you, Alvin. But secondly, when you write something like that, uh, what is your reference point, or what is your influence when you write these songs? Because of course, I mean, much of that is navigated, I mean, clearly very taking the meaning out of the title of your EP, pain geography, like you're navigating through these multiple emotions, and there is a certain level of catharsis also. But on the technical front, when you have to like write these songs, when you have to like put two and two together, then what is the process like?
For me, it always I listen to a lot of music. Like if you go through pain geography itself, it's not just different kinds of emotions, it's also different kind of music. Like deep down
Hmm.
inside, like if you go inside, the first song is very R&B, T-Pain influence because I love T-Pain a
Hmm.
lot. And the second song is but that leads on to a little grungy vibe, which is I'll Miss This Day, and then goes to very pop Love Will Come to You, and then goes to progressive leaning, and then it goes to again alt rock, Afraid of Love. I listen to so much music that I am trying to like blurring the lines. I am trying to bring in so many different kinds of things that I love about music that is there in me. And I don't I and this is my only outlet. Like when I put out songs, I want to put everything into it. So when that happens, I start taking up things from different places and I add those elements, mix match, and I sit in my studio. We are in my studio right now, and I sit here and one by one just go through it. But beyond all of it, if for me, for a song to connect, the story is very important. If there is no story behind the song, then there is no meaning for it. it
Yeah.
These are not just random words. It needs to be genuine. Like if you do not listen to your own song and not feel it, and it does not impact you, I don't know if it will impact the other people. Maybe some of them, but on a deeper level, I don't know if it will. So digging deeper is the first space, first thing that I would do. And then if it's a guitar song or if it's a keyboard song, like that will come along with the process, but the story is very important.
But as a musician, Alvin, how
Mhm.
do you? So basically, when you start to write that song, there is a certain there's a certain emotion then. By the
Mhm.
time you have finished mixing it, mastering it, and then after like 10, 15 versions of it, when the final song is finally out there, to be presented to the ultimate listener, you've sat to 15 different variations and you've sat through 15 different recordings.
Yeah.
How are you able to maintain objectivity? Are you able to connect and resonate with your song with the same emotion, or by then you're like can this just go out there? Like
Yeah,
what
by
is
the
the mind
time
space then?
it's like anytime you listen to a song, like take a song like your favorite song that you started to hate so much now. That is
Hmm.
what happens to me also. Whether it's my production, whether it's my own songs, whatever it is, like after I listen to it like 30 times, I'm like vexed. This is not happening. What am I even doing with my life? Let me just put a pause to all these things. Let me go watch Netflix and go travel, do something else, come back, and then do work over here.
Yeah.
But that break, sometimes it extends, sometimes it's a month, sometimes three
Hmm.
months and sometimes the song just disappear. There are songs which were recorded in 2012 which I've never
Oh,
released, which I've never put out, which I am actually like eventually I will put out this year, because now I'm finally able to understand that song better and do those things. But yes, I will always, like, that has never been one project where I have not felt. I don't think any musician out there would be feeling that way, because feeling like happy. Oh, this is the song. This is my song is out there. No, people are going to get vexed with their own song, and ultimately, when you start going away from it, it's when it pulls you back, and that's what
you're
happens
right.
with me. Pain geography, I started in writing in 2021 end, but I did not have a vision. 2022, I toured the country, and during the tour and during all the time, I got COVID thrice. And my building was uh, the first in my area called Adyar, the
Huh,
first
idea.
building where the COVID zone. I completely forgot the name. My building was the first, and I could hear so many different people crying, and ambulance and people fighting, people just sitting in there, so much chaos. And slowly, after and after that, I went on a tour, and I was able to reflect on so much music and meeting so many different people. Uh, I ended up getting a vision like, hey, you know what? Uh, there are these thoughts one by one that's coming to me, which I haven't been able to express because I've been sitting inside a house for so long. Uh, Let me go back to those songs and let me see what I can do with this. And that's when the pain geography actually found vision. And when I went back to songs that I had written, I was able to build a story behind it. So that's how it is. And plus, I'm in a long distance relationship. That's what love will come to you is. I'm like, hey,
Oh.
I'll come to you. Hold on. I found a way to disappear inside my thoughts when you're not here. Familiar feeling that I can feel so beautiful. Maybe it's not real, but I believe it all makes sense. So
Yes.
this is the song which I wrote for my partner who's in Canada. It's a long distance relationship.
Ah,
So yeah.
Canada and
So
Chennai.
Canada and
Nice.
Chennai. See, Anga match
See, see.
happened. So that happened, and so pain geography is about 5 different kinds of pain. That is
Yes.
what it is. And when I took all these things and put everything two and two together, I found vision. And I was listening to so much country, T-Pain, and different kind of pandemic. Everything that comes to you, you are able to palette it nicely.
Yeah.
So by the time I almost came out of pandemic, and I finished my tour, I was like, I have so much things to share, so many things to share. And I grew up as a musician, and I've
Mm.
learned new things. I have different ideas, different visions. My production skills improved, and the way I started to look at life generally after so many things, after having a near death experience and coming back out of it, and then you are
Yeah.
like, okay, you know what? You need to pause, look at life in such a way where you are able to grow and you are able to express more deeply rather than on a surface level. Because if you're feeling this way, there are millions of people out there who are feeling that way as well, I'm sure. So if I'm able to reach them, and if I'm able to do something about it, then it makes sense. And that's how I started to build all these things.
You're one of the few artists who extensively hit the road last year with, performing as many as 20 odd shows. And, you're about to hit the road again with Takar Nabam. And I know that there's a
Yes.
very deep-rooted, brotherhood and friendship that you share with Takar and with Mahesh Raghunan and uh,
Bendy.
to uh, and with Siddharth Bendi. Yes, I
Yes.
think it's just beautiful, saying that you guys may not be as into the scene because there is an independent music scene that the brands want to project, and then there's an independent music scene that we as listeners and people who are ardent followers of the scene know that actually exists. So how do you look at how I mean, if I have to just ask you an artist perspective of how do you look at the kind of opportunities and the kind of avenues that are now available for the independent music space at large.
Like, pandemic, like in our initial conversation, I said that pandemic
Yeah.
helped so many artists to bloom. It helped so many artists to just, it wasn't just me. There were so many artists who sat down who were like, I need to do something about this. Because that was such a crucial moment, pandemic, where you were able to put a pause to things, and you were like, oh my god, what if things go south and you are unable to do the things that you wanted to do. That fear, I think, brought out a lot of artists, and
Mm.
people had time and they were able to notice more. For me, uh, i've been I've been playing music for what, I don't even know since when. Like
Yeah.
three is a number which I remember. That's it. But me putting out, and I started to write my songs since I was in class ninth, 10th. But I never knew that something called independent music existed till I came down to Chennai. Because when you're in Bollywood, when you're in Nagpur, you are technically in Bollywood. You're like
Yeah.
surrounded by people who are listening to that music. And when I came down, I started to understand more. But there were some artists who uh, had the exposure, there where they knew what independent scene was and how to navigate it. When uh, and I have seen so many artists and I learned so much from them, right? Like, okay, this artist has done this work. Maybe let me go explore that avenue, explore this avenue, explore that avenue. By 2020, I was when pandemic began, I was like, okay, this is time to put a pause to uh everything else and let me just come out and see what I can do. And the best way I can do that is by being my genuine self. And if I'm able to pull people in towards my music, and if I'm able to pull opportunities towards me, then great. Like, as long as I am being honest. That was my only vision when I started this out. I put out a song in 2018 called Into My Head, and I never promoted it because I did not know how to promote it in the first place. I did not have time because I was working elsewhere. And some opportunities did come in. Like it's uh South India, again, because of the independent scene which bloomed, there were people who are filmmakers who noticed my work, and they were
Yeah.
like, hey, why don't you come and uh, pull in I put in your ideas for these things and that. And I was able to make many connections. Maybe it's my lack of publicity or my lack of PR work that I did not do, which does not come out much, but definitely uh, in the back end, I am able to grab opportunities for my music production, because some people who listen to it and who know things, like you said, are able to understand that and are able to gyrate towards me and my music. So probably I'll grow from here. I'm happy to see where this leads. That's how it is. And let's see,
Well, I have to
opportunities will
say,
come.
Well, I have to say, I think with what you have done, and however closely I have followed your career, I can see that you have managed to make enough noise uh, with only your music and sans the marketing. And I can only say that you have found your direction and you are working towards it. But Alvin, to conclude, now that you hit the road with Tucker, what are your expectations from this tour, and hopefully what next now, post the release of Pain Geography?
Okay. Last year when I went on a tour, uh, I did we did solos. Like, Mahesh was
Yeah.
solo, Bendy was solo, and I was solo. And we had killer managers who were working with us and a photographer who was traveling with us. I'm taking the same team, uh, but this time I'm going with a band. So this would probably be, apart from the corporate shows that I did, this is the first time I'm taking my music out and going on road, meeting different people, performing for the first time with a band. So it's a good feeling. Like, I perform with my bands in Chennai and Bangalore, but not up north.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Like, meeting, as long as if there is one person and I'm able to pull that person towards me. I'm like, hey, you know what? This is music here with me as well. I'll be very happy. And I'll be playing Pain Geography songs only.
Yeah.
Apart from the B side, stories never. It's like, I think in three languages: English, Hindi, and Tamil.
Yeah.
And when I start thinking, then there are songs where we started out English and then they became Tamil, or they started out Tamil, became Hindi, or something like that, because I was able to express more, dig deeper.
Yeah.
And because of that, one thing, I wasn't able to complete the Pain Geography story entirely. So there is a B side
Okay.
of it coming out. There are 5 songs in
Interesting.
it. Yeah, there are
Okay.
5 songs in it, and the first song comes out in June. So that will be one of the strategies where I'll be releasing one song each,
Great.
one
That's a
one song
great
each every month.
segue. That's a great
Yeah.
segue. That's a great tease for, yes, more music from Alvin.
Yes. Yes. So that is what it is. And I'm looking forward to, and Tucker and I played one show in like 2017 in Chennai.
Hmm. Hmm.
27, 2018, 2017, right? It was that time. And after that is when we are meeting again for the first time after 5 years in Delhi on
No.
14th. Yeah, and then we are like, yo, let's do this. And we were in touch
That so much
on
has
social
happened in
media.
both your lives since then. Oh,
Yeah.
oh God.
We've grown, we've grown from boys to men. Yes, kidding. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very excited. So
Lastly, if I can ask a very stupid question, because that's very seldom asked on my show, but
go on.
just tell me, like, with given your surname, this whole Elvis Presley thing would have been a recurring joke in your life, for sure.
Everywhere, always, everywhere, always, everyone. So my dad's name is
Ah,
Amalnathan. This is a story. I don't know if I think I mentioned it elsewhere also, but yeah, my dad's name is Amalnathan. There is no
okay.
Presley in his name. And then he was cool enough to name me Alvin Presley. And I was like, great stage name, pa. So
Okay.
yeah, that's how it is. And people have been asking me, are you related to Presley? And I'm like, no, my dad was just cool. And I'm like, how can I be related to Presley? You good person.
But it does help
So
in recall, don't doesn't it?
yeah, that definitely does. Definitely does. Definitely. My grandfather wanted to name me Mangal Zaveri. And that was
What?
yeah, he wanted to name me Mangal Zaveri because my grandfather's father's name is Mangalam Pillai. So he was like
Okay.
Mangal and Xavier to Zaveri, Mangal Zaveri. My mom took my dad aside, देखिए ये नहीं होगा. He's like, yeah.
Thank God
That
for that. You do know, no, that we South Indian kids bear the consequences of being really
I
named, you
know,
know. And you can
I
ask
know.
me that because the
Vijayalakshmi.
story
Vijayalakshmi actually doesn't go with your vibe, honestly, no offense, but it doesn't. Vijay works so much well,
I
so much
I
better.
have I have listen, I am 33 right now. I have lost my patience. I have lost my marbles in just trying and explaining why was I named Vijayalakshmi, and I've had this conversation with my parents for ages. So I just take solace. There's that amazing movie, Hindi movie called Dhamal, and there's a running joke in it. You know, Venugopal Iyer, and there are like half a dozen names. That
Yeah. I remember.
so I just take solace in that joke. I'm like, yes, maybe you can put 10 dozen names before my actual name, and but
Very cool.
But here's wishing you all the very best, Alvin. And this was such a joyful,
Thank you.
fun chat. But of course, I mean,
Thank you so
that's
much.
what happens when two Tamilians get together.
I
Never
know,
mind,
right?
I'm a half Tamilian myself.
Half Tamil. I can pick the Tamil part out of you, so it's cool.
We'll pick the Tamil part. But thank you so much, Alvin. This was such a fun chat. And I wish you all the very best for your music and for all the upcoming ventures. And do have a great tour.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Uh, I'm very happy that I was able to express myself and talk to you. Thank you for having me over. It was lovely chatting with
My
you.
pleasure. My pleasure.